All right, let's try this again. I had recorded a bunch of this, and then I had to stop to take care of a family matter. But let's just do this again, and that's fine. So today I'm going to kind of ease back into this whole channel thing again by going over the GenCon experience, and this will be video 2 of possibly 3 of things that I got there. The first one was my dice. This one is going to be mostly my books and stuff. And I think the third video that will come out later on this week will be me talking about the experience and everything like that as a first-time GenCon badge holder. So yeah, anyway, let's just get this going, and I want to start my my video properly with my the sand timer. There we go. It was amazing. GenCon was amazing. The events that I went to were so cool, but right now let's just go through some stuff that I acquired. Swag wise, I got a bunch of knickknacks and other things, and this was just available for free at the place where you can pick up the programs. So that it was just a one-off sort of adventure that you can pick up for 5e, and I will go through this and see if I can use some of the stuff. At worst case, I have a free battle mat, and best case, I have some cool minis and NPC ideas and stuff like that, so that's kind of cool. So I'll put that off to the side, and let's just go. I have a bunch of stuff over off of camera here, and I'm just gonna kind of take from the top of the stack. This Incense and Iron dungeon crawling RPG game I picked up because one of the form factor, it's nice and compact and as small, and even with that, they put a ribbon in it. Come on, that's awesome. It's Cyma, Incense and Iron Dungeon Crawling by Gallant Knight Games. Yes, written by Alan Barr and art by Rick Hershey. And some really cool stuff in here. I only skimmed through it. What I like about this is that it is very easy to adapt for solo. In fact, there's even a GM list section to help people who run games solo, which is kind of nice. Something I don't necessarily need in all of my games, but it's nice to have a complete thing that I don't need something else for. So that's kind of cool. Cyma, Incense and Iron Dungeon Crawling. Tabletop role-playing game set in a world where a fallen monolithic church has left a power void that petty kings and tyrants struggle to fill. You are a grave robber, tomb digger, and smuggler, stealing religious artifacts from oppressors and attempting to make your way in a world where enemies have left with the wealth of your homeland, leaving you with nothing but a blade, violence, and bitter resentment in your heart. So definitely a darker, grittier sort of feel, and it's definitely low fantasy as per the darker low fantasy setting is. So that's kind of cool. Next up is a pair of things. Well, actually, I'll do this one first. It's a small little game called Strange World by Aaron M. Sturgill. It came out a while ago. I had seen this on the Indie Press Revolution website. And I just couldn't get myself to check it out. But when I held it in my hand, and the whole idea is that you are a crashed crew on a strange planet, strange world, and you're trying to get materials back to your ship and fix it so you can leave. So it's a very like one-shot-esque type of feel, but it's a hex crawls type of game. Something that's hex crawls and open world stuff like that are really easy to solo because it's all, you know, you go to this place, you roll for what's in there, you roll to see what happens, that kind of thing. So that's kind of cool. I look forward to giving this a try, and I'm a big sucker for map type things, exploration games, and things like that. So, Strange World by Aaron M. Sturgill. Your ship has crashed on a distant alien world, and you have no choice but to set out and explore this forbidding landscape in hope of finding the resources to repair your ship and return home. So, yeah, kind of cool, kind of cool. Next up is that pair of things, vast Grimm expansion type stuff. The Starship Sheets, which are, I can't easily open this because, there we go. So these sheets are just a bunch of really cool sheets with a star hex. But these are the sheets that you use to create your ship for the vast Grimm game. And it's something that I had purchased a while ago, and I bought the vast Grimm Space Cruisers book expansion and the core rule books during a Kickstarter a while back. And so then I picked up the GM screen, which, I mean, this art is, I love this art style. And then this is the full art. You won't be able to see, but I'll be able to pan. It's like, it looks pretty freaking cool. So, yeah. Very nice. And of course, as someone who likes tables and charts and everything, it's really nice. It has names and treasure and combat stuff. Finding things on the body, fumble charts. So, of course, anything that you would need to run the game. So that's kind of cool. And the vast Grimm game accoutrement, which is nice. The next couple of things, the Facility and Stoneburner fill a similar sort of space in my head. One is a little more, a fantasy space, and one is more science space kind of thing. Stoneburner is here we go. I'll just read the back. Is a solo-friendly tabletop role-playing game of demon hunting and community building co-designed by Ray-Pierre Deshay Galinas and Galen Pajou. I really probably butchered those names. Players take on the role of a group of dwarves who must assume control of a demon-haunted mine, along with its accompanying settlements, which they inherit after the death of their distant relative. The game focuses on the dwarves' journey as they navigate the challenges of the new responsibilities, rebuild a new, thriving community, and clear the mine of its fire-spitting monsters. So, yeah. And then you get to expand your settlement, and the aesthetic of this game is pretty freaking cool. I haven't read too much of the rules. I really bought this out of the feel of holding this in my hand and reading through it very quickly while I was at the booth. And so I'm willing to give this a try, and it's also GM-less as well, solo-friendly, so that's kind of cool. Stoneburner. And the Facility is a role-playing game for one and taking the role of ordinary people stripped of their memories and trapped in a hostile and insane labyrinth of machines and interdimensional weirdness. So this is something that kind of feels a little on the darker side, darker like sci-fi horror and sci-fi supernatural stuff that I'm not really used to doing. So I wanted to get this to sort of help me ease myself into that kind of thing. And again, I liked the black and white aesthetic of the game. And it has this idea of rolling for core memory type stuff, and that's why all these numbers, which is the page numbers, but also correlate to the core that you discover. So it's a discovery heavy game, and I kind of like that whole concept. And the whole idea that you don't know who you are while you play is really fun, and that's always kind of fun to. It's a fun concept to try to role play. And next we have basically I went to the Lamentations of the Flame Princess booth on request by Professor DM over at Dungeon Craft. Solely on his recommendation, I went over there. I picked up this a price list, but it also came with a nice small adventure in it, which is cool. But then when I went there, there was so much stuff. He had so much stuff, which is amazing. But I really wanted to pick one main thing. So I got the main book with this particular cover, which I really like. It's gorgeous. And I love that both the front and back have their respective tables and stuff for easy access. The art in it is fantastic, though a little dark, and that's why it is it's a mature game for sure. Mystery and imagination, adventure and death. So weird fantasy role-playing presents a sinister and horrific twist on traditional fantasy gaming. This is something that I definitely want to try. And then this is just an adventure book that was written for the system. And the concept of this is that you start off as you don't know who you are, that kind of thing. Which is kind of cool, so kind of lose their identity a little bit, and then they have to find their way out and solve puzzles and stuff, which is really cool. So I might use this for Shadow Dark, I might use this for this game, but yeah, this was a nice pickup as well. Strict time records must be kept by Calvin Green. Lamentation of the Flame Princess Adventure. So that was a nice pickup. The next two things I picked up from the same vendor. One is called Odyssey Black Tales by Andrea Rossi Homer and Valentino Sergei. Sorry, Andrea Rossi Homer, as in who wrote the Odyssey, and Valentino Sergei. Talked to Valentino, I believe, and this game is effectively, it feels like a if Ulysses lied about how he came about and how his adventure went. He was painted as a heroic, like, personality, and this is basically you are part of his crew that they pillaged the Mediterranean Sea without mercy, stealing treasure and enslaving its peaceful peoples. His ship bore no flags, and the marauders' faces were concealed. But the lost songs of the sirens tell of a small band of heroes whose goal was to overthrow Ulysses and put an end to his raids. But the legends do not say whether their plan succeeded. It's a role-playing game for 1 to 7 players. And it is compatible with 5e, OSE, and Mark Borg. And you'll play as a part of the crew answering to Ulysses, the biggest liar in history, and serve in his small army of marauders. You will partake in the sacking of the Mediterranean Sea, or you will risk your own life in the attempt to protect the people of the sea. You are tasked with telling the true tale of the Odyssey. So that's kind of cool. I like the idea, and I'm kind of a sucker for that era of history. It's one of the reasons why I really enjoyed Assassin's Creed Odyssey a lot. And so I have to give this a try in the RPG space. So Odyssey, Black Tales. And the same author, Last Sabbath, by Valentino Sergei and Atropo Kelevra, is basically a assume the roles of witches and warlocks united in a coven and engaged in a journey divided into 7 scenes. From initiation all the way through the epilogue, you will use divination tools such as runes or tea leaves or whatever dice to drive the narration forward. So the really cool concept that sold me on this, again, has to do with memory, is that to utilize your powers, you could erase things that you found out about yourself or the story to use your powers, which is really cool concept. I'm not going to open up this book. There's a lot of 18 plus material in here. The art is definitely not safe for the YouTubes. But needless to say, it's very akin to this and gorgeous. And the style of it was really interesting. And honestly, a game that was not really up my alley. But I'm realizing now, well, one, the older I get and the more I dive into various kinds of RPGs, is that not any role-playing game has to be fantasy or fake. It can just be whatever story you want to tell. And I'm starting to realize I want to start telling different stories than the ones I've been telling before. So I need to expand my repertoire and my way of telling different stories. So Last Sabbath is a way that I can try to do that. Unfortunately, I don't think this is something that would come to the channel. This is just not safe for viewing on a public platform. So the next thing I got was, or the next thing that I'm going to show is a starter box set from, I picked this up in the Modifius, what's it called, booth. Their booth, and effectively this is a system that is showcasing the idea that it can be many kinds of themes, not just one. So as a starter set, it has tokens, it has dice, it has the rule set, of course, and then it also has adventures for each of the type that it wants to showcase. Habits and Happenstance, which is more of a like a murder mystery type of thing, a modern horror adventure. You have to solve a mystery. The Silence of Zephton Station, which is more of a sci-fi mega corporation type of thing. And then Dilemma and Decay, which is a little more akin to what dark fantasy, high fantasy is. So that is kind of cool. It comes with these to start, and it also comes with themed battle mats for each of the adventures. So that's kind of cool. I didn't really know anything about this at all when I picked it up, but I couldn't say no to the price tag for like $30. I couldn't say no to a complete sort of rule set that I could play and test out these new stat blocks and things like that. So, and At worst, I have more fodder for other systems, and at best, I have, tokens and dice and everything that I can do a self-contained story within an RPG, and I can tell 3 stories, and that will be worth the price tag. So that's kind of cool. What's old is new. Contains explosive modern action, futuristic sci-fi, and heroic fantasy, such as attribute checks, combat, magic, psionics, chi, a selection of equipment from each genre, and 40 monsters and foes. So yeah, it's basically just a what's old is new system. So don't know anything about it. I'll read up on the books, and maybe this will come to the channel at some point. Who knows? That was literally a purchase that was, I went there to check out something else, and I was trying to hem and haw if I was going to get something, and I put this in my, my basket, and I ended up buying it too. But while I was there, I finally did it. This is probably one of the more exciting purchases I made all while I was there. Star Trek Adventures Captain's Log, solo role-playing game within the Star Trek universe. Very excited for this. Something that I thought I was never going to buy. I couldn't justify the price and the shipping to come to me. But then also, when I was at the booth and I started flipping through the book, I gotta say, it sucked me in pretty hard. And again, because it's a solo game, it has everything you need to play. It's just gorgeous. You don't need to know a lot about Star Trek, or if you want to get into Star Trek and don't know where to start, I highly recommend this. I was just reading a couple of pages at the convention, and it really does a really good job of explaining the different eras of Star Trek and the styles of play within them, and what it means to be part of Starfleet, what it means to be part of the other empires, but it's mostly oriented about being a captain within Starfleet. So I'm very excited to get this, and I definitely want to bring this to the table. So very, very excited for Star Trek Adventures. Boldly go where no one has gone before. It is the unknown that defines our existence. Commander Benjamin Sisko. It presents a complete standalone rule system adapted from the award-winning Star Trek Adventures role-playing game, which I've never played. I have no idea what it's about. It's a 2D20 system, I believe, along with the John Carter, I think it was, and also Fallout, but I'm not familiar with those titles. You can use the tables in this book to create original Star Trek stories with a dynamic character formed from your own imagination, whether you are venturing into the cosmos alone, conducting galaxy-spanning missions cooperatively with friends, or exploring the unknown with a game master, facilitating your adventures. Use the contents of this book to generate countless hours of memorable adventures. Create an original character and then use the tools in this book combined with your fertile imagination to fashion your own fascinating Star Trek style stories. Play in any era of Star Trek from the 21st century to the 32nd century and everything in between. Explore strange new worlds, new civilizations, and all the wonders of the universe. What will you discover while exploring the final frontier? And it says this book is a standalone product, because when I was looking online, I couldn't tell which cover meant anything, and they don't. This is the Deep Space Nine cover, which I like a lot. There's the next gen cover, there's the original series cover, and then there's also the Discovery cover. But they're just covers. They don't change anything about what's inside. So very excited about Star Trek Adventures, Captain's Log. So yes, this is very exciting. Next up, Free League Publishing. I've said this a lot on this channel. one of my favorite publishers. I wouldn't even call them independent anymore. That they're pretty. They're kind of becoming a juggernaut of acquiring really good IPs, and then making them into role playing games. Alien, Blade Runner, The One Ring. So like Lord of the Rings, and among others. And so I decided to pick up a couple of the One Ring books. These are books that I didn't buy when I got the starter set because I didn't have the core rule books, and I only recently got the core rule books. So I'm going to add this, and also Moria Through the Doors of Durin. This won some awards actually. So I'm very excited about these. Like, the art for these books and the construction of these books for all of Free League's material is just absolutely phenomenal. They always seem to get really good, a really good feel to these books, and they love what they do over there. And it is, yeah, this is just phenomenal. This is such a great addition to my collection. The One Ring books, Tales from the Lone Lands and Moria Through the Doors of Durin. So very excited to look at those as well. When I went over to Telstorian Games, because I saw posters and big old tapestries all over the convention advertising Cyberpunk. I went over and I picked up their Shadow Scar Quick Start Guide. This is one of their new RPGs. Something that I definitely... the art style is unique for me. It's very cartoony, light, bright, that kind of thing. The idea for this is it's inspired by Japanese mythology and legends of ninja, anime like Full Metal Alchemist, and stories of secret agents like Men in Black. So it seemed interesting, and this was a free pickup. This is one of those like perks of going to the con. This is a quick start guide that probably would cost some money somewhere else, but they offered this free for RPG Day, and also free at the con. So I picked this up, and I don't know if I'll use it or what I'll pull from this, but I don't mind adding new RPGs to my collection to see what I can take from it. So that's kind of cool. But I did end up picking up Cyberpunk Edge Runner's Mission Kit, which is, if you know what Cyberpunk is, this is definitely modeled and takes place within the world of Night City in Cyberpunk, just before the events of the video game of Cyberpunk 2077. So in terms of like the storyline and timeline, that's where it is. This is basically a one mission sort of starter kit, where you have the standard. There's the rule book, and there's various minis, and there's the dice to use. And what's really cool is, well, one, I mean, I'm currently playing through Cyberpunk 2077, and I'm trying to finish it for the first time. I've played it before, but I never finished the game. But this has enough information here to sort of get a feel for what Cyberpunk in Night City kind of feels like. And it has like all these, all the rules and everything like that. I have not read this yet, so don't know what this is like. There was one criticism about this when I picked it up and opened it up. Some of the pages were kind of stuck, and I had to actually open them up manually. Let's see. I can definitely show you. It's probably in this book. Yes. Yeah, here we go. So these were all of these were actually sealed at the top. So I couldn't open these pages up. So I had to manually cut them. And unfortunately, well, thankfully, they didn't cut off the actual bottom of the page, but everything was pretty darn close to being cut off at the bottom. So thankfully, nothing was cut off, but that's the price that companies pay for wanting to print a bunch of stuff a little on the cheaper side. This whole thing was $30. Probably is a $25 thing at max in terms of quality, but I couldn't say no because I couldn't say no to Cyberpunk right now. So I will give this a whirl. One thing I am excited for is along the same line of that genre is Shadowrun 6th World, the Berlin edition. This is just the 6th edition. They like to update a new city every time that they update the game a bit. And this one, I've never played old school Shadowrun, but I did get to play it a few years ago with a friend of mine who ran a really cool game. And so I figured while I was at the con, I would stop by Catalyst Game Labs, and pick this up. Yeah, so this is one of the more popular RPGs too. So this was a big hefty tome for $50. It's like everything you need to play the game. Big old book, nice and heavy. So I'm excited to dive into this and use this and maybe play a few games within it and stuff like that. I'm probably going to be cutting out a lot of rules and just taking a lot of what I call the feel of a game. Yeah, and then they have these really cool pullouts of... kind of reminds me of like those old magazines from the 80s and 90s I would get. That just looks so cool. Anyway, I'm getting lost in my own. Shadowrun 6th World. Very, very cool. Next up I have is something that a lot of people have been telling me I probably should pick up, and I kind of went all in, and I got, well, not all in, I went and I picked up Traveler, the 2022 updated edition. I have the original Traveler as a PDF, but I don't like PDFs. So, and I don't mind playing for the first time Traveler with the new rules. I know some people don't really care for them, but that I'm not them. So I'll find out if this particular rule set is for me. I do like how clean this book looks. Lots of ships, lots of options. So I was very, very, very excited for this. Traveler is a science fiction role-playing game of bold explorers and brave adventures. Spaceports, ancient civilizations, air rafts, cold steel blades, laser carbines, far distant worlds, and exotic alien beasts. This is the futuristic universe of Traveler, the original and classic science fiction role-playing game. Come visit the future. So, very excited to start with this, and I picked up because I am a sucker for building maps, and I love maps, and I love generating them. This sector construction guide. Couldn't say no to this. This is probably something I probably could have bought online for a lot cheaper, and the tools would probably be easier to use, but I'm a pen and paper guy, and this comes with a bunch of pre-established hexes with it comes with the original universe that Traveler is set in, Forvin or Forvin. I don't know how to pronounce it. I've never played it, and I don't know anyone who has played it. So yeah, so this is something that I'm gonna probably delve into first after I read the rules real quick, because I absolutely love creating worlds. So, and then of course I had to pick up a referee screen, because I like referee screens a lot. Even if I don't play with other people, I like having a lot of open data for me. The kind lady that I talked to at the booth here, actually showed me this opened, and it looks gorgeous. But you know what? Why don't I open this right now? Why don't I just do that? Let me just kind of, there we go. Why not? Why not? Because I definitely want to show it off. And yeah, let's move this guy too, so I don't spill it. Yeah, let's, oops. Uh-oh, sorry. Oh no. Look at this. It is absolutely gorgeous. And of course, a lot of info as well. So that's really cool. And that is basically most of my purchases. I got a couple more things. And this thing, I had been wanting for a long time. I had seen this on some website. I believe it was either Indie Press or Exalted Funeral. I want to say it was Indie Press. But this book, it's the Monster Overhaul, a practical bestiary. It's a massive role-playing game bestiary designed for at-table utility. Monsters are presented alongside useful tools, ready for immediate use in any scenario. Are designed to be thematically and mechanically unique. They're a mix of classic, well-loved monsters and new creatures designed to cover as much ground as possible. And many entries also cover a number of related monsters or invent entirely new variants, twists, and complications. So this thing was absurdly expensive to get online because of the shipping. But at the booth, it was much more approachable, and I had my own personal funds set aside for these purchases, so it was easier to do. But this was something that I absolutely had to pick up once I opened the book. And of course, the inside covers, the splash sheets, the covers, I forget what these are called. The end sheets are used, which is just awesome. But basically, this is a soloist's dream of just pulling up anything that you might need. A wizard did it. Random encounter. This is awesome. So I am very excited to use this. This might be one of my newer go-to monster manuals, just because there's just so many cool things in here. So I'm very excited to use the Monster Overhaul by Skirples. Skirples. That's, yeah, awesome. Also, the art and the style is just gorgeous. It's just awesome. Generic cave. This is a whole adventure right here. Generic temple ruin. Whole adventure right there. And of course, look, bookmarks. Like, love books with bookmarks. And the last thing is one of the first things that I picked up. Is I went to Columbia Games booth, and after hearing Trevor Duvall of Me, Myself, and Die for many, many, many opportunities harp on all of us to go and give Harn World a try, well, I kind of had to. So, again, the online purchasing of these books was kind of prohibitive earlier. And again, I had set aside money and funds to do all of this for GenCon, so it was easier to do so. But this book is just absolutely insane. I can't do this justice, by the way. I talked to wonderful people at the booth. A couple of the authors were there, and I don't really need to go too much of this, but basically Harn World is a massive medieval-esque, highly detailed simulated world that has so much detailed history all the way up to a certain point, and then that is where the story starts for your stories at the table. And they just create so many different worlds and cultures to explore. And this book is basically an encyclopedia of Harn World. And I didn't know where to start, so the guy pushed this on me very successfully, and then had me sort of like, I'm probably going to look through this, read through it, maybe pull some ideas for a game here and there. And then if I want to use something from a particular area, then I would probably buy those expansion books, because there's a lot of books that are based in this. And this is just the overview. And of course, it came with a bunch of maps. And, of course, I had to, look at, this is ridiculous. What? You don't need all of this, but come on, it's so awesome. I'm going to have to find space up on my wall, which I don't have any. So I'm very excited for Harn World. Something I thought I would never do is go full on medieval fantasy, but here I am. Like, again, it's the stories, the opportunistic stories that we can tell. So I got those, and that's basically everything I got at GenCon. There was one other thing, and the only other game I got was a board game, and not even a board game. It's a tile laying game by Andy Bergman of Kaz Games called Dark Tomb, Crypts of Aurelian, and the sequel, Bloodthorn Island. There's a third one in the works as well, coming to Kickstarter. I can't remember, but if you look up Kaz Games and Dark Tomb, their website will probably have information. But this game is basically a dungeon crawler game where you are up to 1 to 5 players play heroes going through a dungeon, and the rules are really simple. All the tiles are like square tiles, cards. I'm trying to, and then these are the characters, and they have armor class, and it comes with a D20. I'm kind of babbling at this point because I'm tired, but yeah. So like that was my haul at GenCon this year. Kind of a lot of stuff. I mean, outside of merch as well, I spent way too much money. So I think with that, I think I'll wrap up this particular video, and I'll probably come out with the experience video soon. And I'm kind of easing myself back into creating again, and sitting down at the desk, kind of figuring out where I want to go. One of my first priorities is getting a game of Starforged under my belt, just to kind of get that going again. I have not forgotten about Shadow Dark. But now that I have Solo Dark in my hands, I'll probably start doing that with this in mind. And so I'm excited to do that as well. Yeah, and obviously I have a lot of games that I want to play, lots of systems I want to bring to the table, lots of discussions, but that's all for a different day and a different me. So this is me signing off for now, and until next time, folks, I'll see you on the flip side. Peace.